Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, senior Lakers insider for Clutch Points, joined on this fine Tuesday afternoon by Khobi Price. He is the Lakers reporter for the OC Register and the Southern California News Group. Coming off of his second season on the Lakers beat, I had written in the original intro that it was his first season on the beat, which would mean, therefore, that I went an entire season not talking to Khobi on the pod, which is an error of an omission of great magnitude. So, Khobi, I got to say, I am sorry, bud. You do great work. I should have had you on forever ago, and literally like a full ass year ago. But thank you for hopping on when you did.
Yeah, I think it's been two, because you had me on preseason before the 23-24 season.
Yeah.
So it's been a couple of years, but I'm good. How have you been?
You know, I'm just getting old. Is the thing. And
wait, aren't we all technically? Like, if you are, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. I will say that.
Yeah, I've Jen's giving me a hard time because I've entered like the leisure wear, era of my life. Like, he's just, oh man, it is. Some of us get old a little faster than others, and I'm on that like turbo route right now. But no, I do really appreciate you hopping on. It has been a wild couple of seasons while you have been on the beat. And I guess now that we know you've been on the beat for these two seasons so far, they've fired Darvin Ham, they've hired JJ Redick, they've traded Anthony Davis, they've traded for Luka Doncic. They sold the Lakers sold. Well, so I guess seeing as all of this craziness started basically when you got here, we know who to blame. You're kind of like, did you ever watch Bruce Almighty?
Yeah.
You know how like all of a sudden, like he's in charge of the news, so he knows like where to be to where the news is going to break. Is this you just tacitly, acknowledging? Did I just figure out you're Bruce Almighty? You're Khobi Almighty?
The Khobi Almighty nickname is crazy. I will say if that were the case, I would be breaking more news myself. So I'll just put it like that. But no, it has been like a crazy, because I guess like if I look at, so it's been 2 full seasons. If I look at the previous 2 seasons, like you could also say, like that was the Russ trade, and then the 30s, what do we get, like 36 and 40, whatever that would come out, 36 and 46, whatever they went that season.
It was ugly.
And then fire Vogel, hire him, like, and then you trade away, like I guess like that was also a crazy period. But the past couple seasons have been like, the sale alone is like should be the biggest Lakers story of the year, and I think like it will be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like once we get to a certain 5 years on the line, 10, 15, and beyond. But the fact that it could be a debate between the sale and the Luka trade, the Luka Anthony Davis trade, like that's mind-boggling. That is like 20. I tell people all the time when they ask about this season, like I just view it as Luka trade, post-Luka trade, pre-Luka trade. That's how I view this past season, 24, 25. That's how my mind thinks of it.
Yeah, I think like the proper response to the Khobi Almighty allegations there is that the Lakers just refuse to be normal. So like there's no such thing as like a normal 2-year stretch for the Lakers. There's never like a quiet. They aren't quite like Jerry Jones, who intentionally makes news for the sake of his Cowboys being at the forefront of everybody's minds. The Lakers just happen to be newsworthy a lot. So yeah, what a welcome to the beat these last couple of years. And I think we'll at the end of the show we'll look back on some of the crazier moments like of your time on the beat so far. I want to start with this offseason in particular. You start with the sale of the Lakers, and I do think, like, even compared to trading for Luka, it is such a, it could be such a you know, entire NBA universe shaking type of development, because like you've seen this in the couple of years that you've covered the team. They operate in a very particular way. They run in very small circles. They do so for a reason. They don't operate in the ways that, you know, some of the more modern teams do. And now, if you ask anybody who works for the Lakers, they'll say that's a strong suit. That's a strength of the Lakers. You ask people around the league, they'll say it's kind of crazy that they don't have a pro scout. But at the end of the day, you know, modernizing in the way that they might seems pretty incredible here for this Lakers organization. What type of ways would you kind of look for that to impact the way that the Lakers operate, based off of your time seeing them up close the way that you have?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it within itself, but just greater investment in the behind the scenes affairs, behind the scenes departments, not so much player like. And I know this is, I've written this. I know it's been written, talked about ad nauseum, just in terms of like the salary cap, the aprons are the aprons. Like you can't really, you can go over the second apron, like but the penalties are going to be the same regardless of who the owner is,
It's
how
not
much.
baseball.
Yeah, it's not baseball. It's not even like football to an extent. Like this is very much a like. You ask talking to people around the league, the second apron is more like viewed as a hard cap rather than like an apron, quote unquote. So it's not so much like player spending, more so investment in resources in the behind the scenes, where there is, like you said, scouting. Obviously, I think it's important to note that they have started to make certain investments from analytics. Obviously, the medical resources, the medical team side, like those resources were already being invested into. And improve in a couple of years, even like pre-sale. I know they just hired the new head of strength and training. That came after the sale, but the process was before.
Yeah.
Like before this, and obviously the sale process, like it comes out, I think it was June 18th. This is something that's been in the works for a few years. So, but more so the behind the scenes, like I said, scouting, deeper investments in analytics, just the things that we've already seen to just modernize behind the scenes and even the front office, maybe even add a couple hires. Because the one thing that you get or maybe not the royal you, maybe not you, the royal you, or just being around the team is like people are kind of like stretched thin more or less.
Yes.
Like, be people doing multiple jobs or just not.
The example that Harrison and I always laugh at over the years was back in the day, Gary Vitti was obviously their head trainer and all of that stuff, but he was also in charge of like designing their travel plans.
Yeah.
So like we always call it like Gary Vitti was the rare combination of head trainer and air traffic controller, where, like somehow but that's kind of the norm, right? Like Rob Pelinka is literally the head, the president of basketball operations and general manager.
I think the one thing I was trying to think about how to say this without like not quote unquote calling out, but mentioning other teams. But I do think it's important to note that like when other teams visit LA, like you can see their traveling parties, catching up with people X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I don't. This is something I literally like numerically just like count each time. But I will say you can see other teams. I'm not going to say that like have bigger traveling parties, just more people on hands compared to the Lakers travel. They're not like depleted of people, but it is noticeable when Team X in the Western Conference comes to LA a couple times a year, and they've got all these assistant general manager, just people, resources that the Lakers just have been slower to get to. So I think that's the biggest thing, and it may not be immediate. I think that's another thing. Like these are more medium term to long term investments that will benefit. And the thing about pro scouting is you may not be able to spend more on players or whatever it may be, or use more cash and trades like they did this past summer to trade up for a Thiero, not Thiero, caught myself again. But if you invest even more in your scouting department, you in theory are going to be better at scouting, and then you can be better at choosing the players you trade for or sign. And honestly, the trades have been fine. It's more so the signings that have been the tougher part for them.
Well, it's it's just information.
I say that was saying trades have been fine, and they're 6-7 months away from trading for Luka Doncic. They've been better than fine.
Yeah,
they've been better than fine. But yeah, my bad.
But yeah, no, I kind of look at it. I remember back when the Lakers were making their initial push into the analytics movement, and back then they employed Byron Scott, and he like would brag about the fact that Mark Madsen would put together his like analytic cheat sheets, and he would yell Khobi and put them into the like it would like they were just fodder that he would just slide on off of his desk, and then there that would go. And I remember like just kind of rolling my eyes, because all analytics are, right? Advanced analytics, advanced stats, all that. It's just information, you know. Mm-hmm. And this idea of the Lakers, you know, kind of cutting costs with scouting, it's just eliminating information. You know, we're not giving yourself access to the best information that you can. And they've still, like you just mentioned, operated fairly well even without that. That's why so many teams, when words started kind of circulating about the Lakers potentially selling, I remember there were a bunch of reports and stuff about how popular Jeannie Buss was with all the other governors around the league. And it was like, I don't know if you want to be popular with your competition. Like, I don't know if you want people to be all that happy with you. You want to be easy to work with for sure. But I don't know if I want the teams that I'm competing against being like, no, don't go. But yeah, I want to, let's I'm sure we'll come back to the ownership aspect of all this too. But like in terms of basketball, what would you say? You know, I think the offseason has been done for a little while now. What would you say if this is the roster that we're going to get opening night? Which storylines do you think you'll be paying the most close attention to over the course of the season?
Oh man, I mean, you can go in a variety of directions. I guess I just start from the beginning, like literally the beginning. What is it going to be like? I mean, have a feeling what the starting lineup's going to be, but what will the starting lineup be like? I think it was a lot. Not this time last year, but a month from now, like late September, right before training camp started, JJ went on Zach Lowe's old podcast when he's still with ESPN, the Low Post, and he revealed the starting lineup going into last season. So there are, I mean, I think most people think there are really two main options. I think there's one option that's more likely than the other, but that's the first storyline I'm thinking of. Another one is like, what does DeAndre like? I think sometimes, you know, you get so far removed from a season, you kind of forget how that season ended or like the details. I think sometimes maybe not overlooked by most fans who actually pay attention day to day, but the lack of just big man usage and depth to this team, like that's something that you can't expect to win big. So what can not just DeAndre and Embiid in terms of the actual player, but how does the Lakers having a viable center who can play 26, 28, 30, 32, you know, plus minutes a night, how does that change their entire outlook of the team? Because that's just something that after they traded for Luka Doncic, traded Anthony Davis to Mavericks, and Jackson Hayes stepped into the starting lineup, like they just didn't have that. Jackson Hayes, he had a good start to being a starter, then he got hurt. Even after he got hurt, like even that late March period, he wasn't as sharp. And then like by the time, you know, we get into April, he's playing more in the teens, not playing consistent. And then obviously the playoffs went how they went. So just you have a guy who historically is used to playing by center standards, like a lot of minutes. How does that change their outlook? Like what does that look like? And then so those are like the two main things. I mean, there's the obvious, like LeBron, year 23, never done before. He's coming off all NBA second team. Like, can he still sustain? I mean, by all NBA standards, he's still considered a top 10 player. Like, can he still be a top 10, top 15 player in a season that no other player in NBA history has played? No other player in NBA history has played 23 seasons. What does he look like in year 23? Then there's the Luka factor. I feel like I'm so late saying, like, I'm kind of like I'm just honestly going in order. Like,
Luka.
Yeah, the Luka factor is like, it's crazy. Like, can he be better than he was 2 seasons ago? Like when he led Dallas to the finals. Like, is there a world in which he's, even if the counting numbers aren't better because the context has changed. Like, he's not going to be, him and Kyrie leading the way. It's going to be him, LeBron, and Austin.
Yeah.
But can he be more efficient? Can he be quicker? Can he dunk again? I think he actually can. I know he can. Will he? Will he dunk more again? And will he dunk
I hope he
more
trolls
often?
forever. He just he gets a wide open, breakaway dunk, and he just taps the backboard. Yeah.
Yeah. Like what does this, obviously Men's Health Magazine, what was it? The Today Show? I think it was Today Show, what is
Good Morning America? I forget.
Was one of those two. What does we've seen it, saw him in person at his contract signing or contract extension signing. What does a more in shape, thinner looking Luka, what does that do for his play, and what does that do for the Lakers? Like these are, then there's like the small details, like obviously LeBron. Now I guess not really a small thing, but how do LeBron, Luka, and Austin look, after a full training camp, full summer? JJ, year 2. I mean, you're coming off a 51 season. Like, there's a lot. I mean, I could that long in, but I could go on forever.
I'm going to try to go in order on some of those ones. I want to start with that starting lineup because it is basically all in. Like, every time I ask for mailbag questions, I get some version of Rui or Smart. And I have my inclination on who I would start. I would personally start Smart. I don't necessarily know that that's the likelier outcome here, though, because Rui has been there a little bit longer. They had some success with him in the starting group before they got to the playoffs. How do you see that playing out?
I mean, at least right now, I mean, I do think if there is a question about, and the important thing to note is that we haven't spoken with JJ publicly at any point this offseason, pre-draft, post-draft, free agency. So it's important to know we haven't heard his thoughts on it, but I mean, I would expect it to be between Marcus Smart and Rui Hachimura. And honestly, I think that from right now, just a feel standpoint, not so much like, I just think it's going to be Rui. I think it's important to note that last season, I mean, the trades shook up so much in terms of the starting lineup, but obviously there were periods where they were going, like, changing lineups. Like, we went through the annual Cam Reddish in the starting lineup experience, and then D'Lo out in, like, then Max took the spot in which he held it down. Important thing to know is that Rui was in the starting lineup. He was a starter, full stop the entire time, and there's a belief, there seems to be a belief from JJ's side and the coaching staff that, Rui belongs in that spot. It's also important to note that just Rui's been more productive and just played better as a starter. Yeah, he's been good. Yeah, I think that's another thing. He's been good as a starter. Like the reasons for pulling Rui Hachimura, if you want to pull Rui Hachimura out the starting lineup, it's less about him. It's more about the context of the rest of the roster. And is one of those. He's been good. He's been really good. And in his role, he's thrived in his role. There's also the reality of they may just need other, like, what he provides can sometimes be redundant, not like extra redundant, but like redundant enough where
there's some overlap.
There are only 5 starting spots. And if, we have LeBron, Austin, and Luka, first off, the guys that you kind of want LeBron and Luka to guard are kind of similar to Rui. I mean, Rui he can defend your best bigger forward/wing, but I mean, if you have Marcus Smart in there, you have a little bit more flexibility in terms of how you build up your lineups defensively or matchups defensively. And that doesn't mean Rui can't be a high. I mean, those should be your your 6 highest minute guys. If things go, if everyone's kind of like hitting their mark. I know Jake LaRavia comes into focus at a certain point, but really even Gabe Vincent to an extent. But I view those 6 as like, those are your high minute guys. Like, all 6 of those guys, I'm about to say 5. All 6 of those guys should be playing, I would say, 25 to 26 minutes plus. All 6 of them,
if not more. Yeah,
if not more, depending on and when I said 26, I was really thinking about Marcus, like, physically, where is he at? Like, the other thing we forget about him is that he was a 2014 draft guy. Like,
Yeah.
And we've kind of seen
Miles.
a lot of miles. He's played a lot of basketball because he was on teams that were consistently in the playoffs, making Eastern Conference Finals run with the Celtics. On a very regular basis. Like we've seen the injuries pile up, but 26 to me would be a good number plus, maybe even 28 plus. Like those should be your 6. So whether it's between Rui and Marcus, that'll play out how it'll play out. But I would expect, at least for us right now, for Rui to be the 5th starter. Obviously alongside Luka, Austin, LeBron, and Ayton.
I want to talk about LeBron then. And I forget if he was this. I think he was the 3rd item on your list there. What he's going to look like in year 23 and stuff like that. It's been a weird summer. I just today
A lot of golf.
Yeah, look, he's getting ready for retirement. I respect it. But I just today wrote my LeBron player preview piece, and in it, the theme that I keep coming back to is that like it or not, this is quite literally the headline. Like it or not, he and the Lakers need each other still. I think the Lakers kind of have moved towards this is a Luka team and this is just a Luka team, and LeBron, I think, is very much not used to that. I think there's some very human things going on there. You had that statement from Rich Paul and Clutch to ESPN about the Lakers preparing for the future and how they respect that and all that stuff. Even though Luka is he's 27, he's not like 21 or 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I found this offseason with LeBron really interesting. It was also really interesting after that statement, how no teams fell over themselves to line up assets to trade for LeBron. I thought that was a super interesting aspect of the season. And by the way, he's still really good at basketball. The reason that the Lakers need him is because there is no trade that they could make that would improve them as a basketball team that would involve sending out LeBron. So all of this is to kind of arrive at this upcoming season where LeBron is probably playing in his, I'm guessing 2nd to last season would be my guess. But he's coming off of an All-NBA selection. He is going to be, I would say, even conservatively speaking, he's like a top 15 player going into next season. And he and Luka, from everything I've heard, are actually kind of excited to play together and have been talking all summer about the strategy of how they could look a little bit better together than they did when they built that plane mid-flight. So what are you kind of looking for from year 23 LeBron?
Just year 20. Again, just we say it, and I think we say it, and I think sometimes we need to acknowledge it, give a moment. Year 23 is ridiculous. That's the first part.
23 years of doing anything is nuts.
Yeah, just
like accountants at year 23, you're kind of looking all right, my calculator fingers are getting kind of tired.
Yeah, year 23 LeBron though. I would expect another great season. It's kind of funny because you always feel this may be the year, maybe the year may not be there. Continues to produce at a high level.
That's how the Lakers have operated, basically. They've been reluctant to go all in because it's well, when are we gonna make that bet on him, and then it's not gonna pay off. But ironically, had they bet more on him, I think they would have had a lot more to show for their time with Anthony Davis and him working together. But different context.
I think that's it's funny you said that, because when talking with people around the league or even media members, I think there's something that's important to keep in mind, because I know a lot of focus gets put on beyond this season, 2026 offseason, 2027 offseason even. I said this back in May. This upcoming season may be the Lakers' best shot at actually winning the title.
Totally.
And it's not that they won't have a good shot at winning a title beyond this season. They will. They're setting themselves up for when you have Luka, presumably have Austin in that future, and then you have the cap space to do whatever you want with it or have the flexibility. Like you can still bid out good teams, but see, last time I was on the show, I could feel myself getting in trouble when I said this. If LeBron, because I said Luka's your number one, LeBron's your number two. And it's like, well, is you sure LeBron's not the number one? All right. If LeBron and Luka are your number two, you're probably not going to get a better top two than that.
Yeah.
For a while. Like I know there are a couple players like we can mention that could actually like beat that notion if they join Luka with the Lakers, but the likeliest outcome is that LeBron is going to be the best player. Mm-hmm. Yes, best Lakers teammate for Luka Doncic, if that makes sense. I hope I worded that correctly or worded that properly. Like the odds suggest that because we're talking about a guy again who is coming off an All-NBA second team, just this last season, a guy who's, in the running for greatest player of all time. This is the player we're talking about, LeBron. So because of that, like, that's why, so much focus and attention can be put on, the next offseason, the following offseason, and building this thing around Luka. You said it. Luka's 26. He's 14 months removed from leading his team to the NBA Finals, 14 to 15 months removed from that. Like he's entering his theoretical prime. Like if he's not already in it, like this is year 8. This is year 8 for Luka. Like this is his time to really win. Like LeBron won his first one, I think, in year 8, right? His first championship. Like you see a lot of guys really come into their own, start really competing and winning titles. Year 6, 7, 8, 9 gets to 10.
I think Michael was 6.
Yeah, so that's your, and even back then, like some of those guys were just older because they were coming in the league after college instead of one and dones, or Luka's case coming in after playing professional league. So for LeBron, like a lot of just like we saw him adapt. This is my view. I thought he adapted pretty well to at least on the court in terms of like this. We're putting the ball in Luka's hands. Like obviously you're still LeBron. You're gonna have your LeBron moments, but just to continue adaptation to the ecosystem, there are very human elements of, hey, for a quarter of a century, LeBron has been the center of everything that's happened from high school team, the Cavs, Miami, back to the Cavs, pretty much his entire Lakers tenure up until February. Even when Anthony Davis was on the team and they were saying, Anthony Davis is the future, like, or he's the present, still very much.
Every time
LeBron.
they said it, it's like, that's adorable.
You said it, not me.
This is the year AD's going to take over. It's like, no, he's not.
So yes, even with all that, it was still a LeBron-focused operation. It's been that way or was that way pretty much for a quarter of a century in the variety of places he's played basketball. There are human elements to just that not being the case anymore. And even if he's understanding, like I think the other thing that's been put in those statements that have even been spoken on is like LeBron understands, or at least his can't, like, so they can it can be both sometimes. It can be this is a weird situation to deal with, but it's also like, well, Lucas's favorite, he always said Lucas's favorite player for a reason, right? You love, like, so you understand the caliber of talent he is, plus he's also 15 years younger, I think. 14, whatever. Young enough to the point where LeBron has real memories of life before Luke was even born.
Like Luka could be LeBron's kid, But I love that point that you make there about like it's not mutually exclusive. That LeBron can feel a certain way about being ushered to stage left, but he can also understand it, right? Like if he was 26 years old, 27 years old, and the team that he was getting to had an older star, he would still expect to be the center of that team's universe. He has been the center of that team's universe, like you said, his whole professional and basketball life.
Well, my bad, but Miami, I mean, he
had
joined
Wade.
He had Wade. Like Wade is, I mean, you talk to people in Miami, like obviously they said like LeBron's the best player who's put on a Miami Heat jersey, but Wade's the greatest Miami Heat of all time.
Yeah.
And Wade was obviously years into his Miami Heat tenure, spent his entire career there. And when LeBron got there, like obviously Wade was still important, but LeBron became the center of that. And they were closer in age, obviously, than like much closer in age. They're more peers. Like Luka and LeBron, like they're peers, but they're also like LeBron's so much. I guess you could say
Well,
that for like
they're
everyone else.
only peers because LeBron has held off Father Time in ways that like we've never seen before. Wade and LeBron were more naturally peers. Before, we were hoping that they would be rivals, right? Like the reason I was kind of bummed that LeBron went to Miami because I was like, no, I want to see those guys play against each other for like the next 5-6 years, and I want those matchups. And it turned out entertaining nonetheless. But yeah, I the way that LeBron has handled this offseason, and it's funny, like I've talked to other people about this on the show as well, about how like there's this entire industry devoted to kind of filling in the gaps with LeBron's tweets and hyper analyzing his tweets and all this stuff. And it's like he can't just like playing golf. He can, you know, I think because there was the hat that he wore that said like "Welcome Home," right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he was wearing that hat, and it was like, and he was playing golf in Cleveland or in the greater Ohio area, and you know, he's wearing this "Welcome Home" hat, and everybody flies off the handle talking about like, oh, back home, he is home. Is that what that means? And then, you know, somebody in my mentions pointed out like, no, that's his production company. That's his like. That's what he's repping his company. But anyway, that's not going to stop the kind of speculation on that notion. I still get the sense that not only is it likely, obviously, he's going to be a Laker on opening night and probably at the end of the season, but I've also heard plenty of people close to the Lakers who say like, yeah, we're anticipating probably re-signing him in some way, shape, or form after the season if he decides he wants to play after the season. And I don't know. I could kind of see that too. I don't know. I don't really know where else he would go. Or the Cavs are so far above the second apron that they can't really just sign people in the same way. And if they wanted to trade for him, they would have to trade half of their roster to get to a point where they can make a legal trade with the Lakers, which involves giving up even more players. So Cleveland's kind of tough. The Warriors keep on apparently knocking on the Lakers' door, hoping maybe, just maybe, but it's like he has like himself told them no on a couple occasions now that he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to go to Steph Curry's city. We saw how that worked out for KD. There was a lot of like speculation about Dallas, and maybe that makes some sense because AD is there and Kyrie is there, and Jason Kidd, the guy that he would have wanted to be his coach originally when he got to the Lakers, is there now in Dallas. And maybe that makes some sense. But do you see him playing for a fourth? Like, I just keep coming back to what you said first and foremost, that LeBron might be the best teammate that Luka may ever have with the Lakers. But then also LeBron might not have many or if any better opportunities to win another championship on his way out the door from the league than playing with Luka on the Lakers. So I could see a world where, LeBron gets to camp. They have a nice light opening schedule at the, when the season starts, they rip off 8 to 10 and he kind of looks around. And he's like, this is actually kind of fun. I kind of like this. And then all of the summer, just kind of the speculation over the summer being just speculation. But I want to talk really quickly about JJ. And you had a front row seat for JJ's first season as a head coach. As you mentioned, he's been almost like oddly quiet this summer, right? Given that the reason he got the gig is because he's a podcaster. But like I have found it really interesting that that series obviously went really poorly. I thought he had a pretty bad series in it, and a lot I think he has to take a real step forward as a second year coach here, and the stakes are pretty damn high now coaching Luka and LeBron. How do you think he's going to handle this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, for JJ, this is a very important season just from the standpoints of kind of like what I said about this may be like LeBron will be Luka. There's a very significant likelihood that LeBron is Luka's best teammate with the Lakers for his Lakers tenure. Like this may be kind of going that this may be the best duo that JJ gets to coach.
Yeah.
Just period. Right? Between Luka and LeBron. And obviously, like it's not just like star duos that matter. Like I've seen a good roster, but when you have those two, like the expectations are to win beyond what they did last year. Like the 50 wins was significant. The 3 was significant. But when you have that first round exit against Minnesota, it just puts a sour taste in everyone's mouth. So for JJ, like he needs to reflect. Like I'm sure he did. Just reflect on the ways he could have been better. Reflect on the ways that now also adapting to this new roster that it's made some significant changes. I mean, I know some of what happened to end of last season was also the adjustments to the new reality of it's a Luka team. We don't have a starting caliber center anymore. We're going to have to use these small ball amps. Like I think some of for JJ is going to be I think he's adaptable and he's willing to change things. But I think as the season went on, that just wasn't as wasn't as notable. So I think one thing that will need to happen is just being more adaptable. I think honestly, just having training camp, like I think JJ is huge on preparation. Mm-hmm. Like that's where he can really thrive. Just preparation, the details, and I think it's having a full summer and a full training camp to really, flesh out the prep, flesh out the details, being able to communicate with Luka, LeBron, Austin down the line, Rob. Being able to just communicate and figure things out. I think that's where he'll thrive. So even the schedule aside, and the schedule is soft to start. Like, it is.
I was really happy to see that.
Yeah. Like I would expect because of the way that JJ is and his nature or what I've read from him or got from him over the past 14 months, I do feel like they are more inclined to have a strong start just because of it is how much he puts into like the stuff that matters before the tip off, if that makes sense. Game planning, preparation, having all that buttoned up. So there shouldn't be many games where they shouldn't be coming out slow. Like shoot, last year they came out against a quote unquote tough schedule. Now we know that schedule wasn't as tough, but in theory it's supposed to be tough. And they start off 3-0. Obviously they, that road trip, whatever that was, late October, early November didn't go their way, but they came out strong, looking good.
Yeah.
So I would expect a strong start.
They still had talent. Like that's the funny thing about this team. Even at the beginning of last season, was like it was still a fairly talented team, and there were some pieces that made some sense together. And like even before the Dorian trade, right? Like when Max starting and D'Lo was kind of handed the keys to the second unit, like there was the makings of a pretty good team there. And then they trade for Dorian, and I thought they looked even better. I thought you can make the argument that they played better basketball after the Dorian trade than at any point, even after the Luka trade, when again, it was Max starting and Austin was the kind of de facto point guard or whatever. And I thought they were kind of starting to find or refine that identity from the 2019-2020 season of bigger, stronger, faster. And then obviously when you send out your only capable center in Anthony Davis and you bring back Luka Doncic, who needs a viable center to make it work. Like, yeah, it kind of made, I've kicked myself over the course of the summer for like not seeing how that series against Minnesota was always probably going to go, seeing as you had this giant front court in Minnesota going up against Jackson Hayes. So, yeah, I'm really curious how JJ is going to handle this. One thing that I'm really kind of looking for is a lot of longer standing coaches will use the regular season kind of like a training ground to try out new concepts and have more pitches to throw by the time you get to the postseason. JJ Redick seems more inclined to kind of maximize and optimize the pitches that he wants to throw in the offseason or in the postseason. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see how those concepts are balanced, right? Like the notion of, just racking up wins and stacking up wins and getting, being the absolute best that you can be with the identity that JJ wants to play with. And that makes sense. You do want to develop that identity. But I also think that when you get to the playoffs, every team is going to do everything that they can to take you out of that identity. So what is your next step? What's plan B, C, D, E, and F when those teams do that to you? And I thought rather than have other pitches that he could throw, JJ just doubled and tripled and almost cartoonishly, right? Just played 5 guys in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. If we see that from him again, that would be a little worrisome is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, and I think to his defense, I think there is an acknowledgement. At least I acknowledge that they had a very small window between Luka making his debut. I think that was February 10th, and then LeBron getting hurt. Actually, did Rui get hurt?
Rui also got hurt, and
Rui
LeBron
Rui got
hurt Jackson.
Yeah, so I think it was Rui first, and then LeBron and Jackson, or the three stars basically got hurt very early into, because it was it was around, I think Rui got hurt around the time that Dallas came to LA.
Yeah. And even the Doncic that they got was coming off of that calf strain. So he was literally playing himself into shape while they were figuring out everything else.
Right. So even with that, you're trying to figure out the Luka part, and even for maybe you get that for 3-4 weeks with Luka in the lineup alongside your other guys, then they get hurt. You have this really crazy March, ridiculously jam-packed March because of the schedule. You're not playing all your guys in all those games. So it was really not until I think it was the Chicago game when LeBron came back. I think LeBron and Rui came back in the same game now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, that sounds
about right.
Mm-hmm.
So really that Chicago game on to the playoffs where JJ just could actually cook, basically, if you're a chef, cook with all the ingredients that you need to make a great meal. And that's just not a lot of that. If you ask any coach, every coach is I want my lineup, I want my guys available for as much. That's not realistic. But to go from whatever that is, late March through mid-April, and that's really the time you have with your actual team, that's also not a lot. They were good moments for sure. That Memphis win in Memphis, a highlight of the Luka era, or even the one that they had over Houston to secure 50 wins, or even the one in Dallas, Luka's first game back in Dallas after being traded. There were good moments, but there wasn't anything sustainable just because they had, I want to say, fewer than 15 games. I want to say it was 13 games of actual games where they could use, have their real starting lineup and have the depth behind it and really feel what they had. Yes, there were moments, yes, things could be handled better, but I also acknowledge there just wasn't a whole lot of time. Because of the trade, injuries not too long after the trade, and then you're looking at late March. All right, it's time to ramp up. Ramp up how? We've just got together.
Yeah, we've been ramping up.
Yeah.
No, it's totally fair, and it's context that's worth to take into account, especially if people are looking for reasons to be optimistic about JJ Redick in his second year. That was anything but optimal situations or settings to kind of figure out how to coach. By the way, on the fly, your first time coaching ever at anything above the junior level. Yeah, it was a really weird season, even by really weird seasons standards, which is a good way, I think, to define your time on the beat, right? It's been, you're covering the weirdest team in the NBA during the weirdest stretch, I think, or one of the weirder stretches of their history. We'll come back to that in a second, but I want to really quickly, what are your expectations, would you say, for this upcoming season? And this time I'm actually going to bring you on more frequently to hold you to talk about how your expectations are actually playing out. But where do you have your expectations set for this team? What would you consider a success or a failure?
Failure would be not qualifying for the playoffs outright.
Yeah.
Honestly, like they should be a top 5 team in the West.
Yeah.
I was gonna just say top 4, but I'll give a little bit. I'll give a little bit of wiggle room, just considering like I know they were
West.
number 3. Yeah, I mean the rest like OKC, Dallas, not Dallas, OKC, Denver, and Houston. Like it doesn't always work out this way, but those should be the top 3, if not all top 3. That should be 3 of the top 4, top 5.
Yeah.
So that's leaving 2 other spots for the top 5. The Lakers should be one of those teams. Again, when you have Luka and LeBron, those are the expectations. Honestly, when you have those two, the expectation should be higher. But I'm also considering the field or the other teams. But Minnesota belong. Like, hey, Minnesota. I know in theory they may not be better, but yes, they knocked them out. Rather, it was yes, some games were closer. Obviously, I think it was game 4 when game 3 was just weird because Luka was sick, but game 4, Luka's feeling better, and like I think it was Austin missed that corner 3. Like that game could have swung either way, but you know they're back-to-back conference finals. Yes, Mike Conley's getting older. They lost
Nikhil,
yeah. So in theory they may be worse, but I think top 5 finish in the West. I think that should be the expectation for the Lakers. Anything below that to me is not a successful regular season. Obviously, they can be 6 and still make a run to wherever in the playoffs. But like to me, top 5, really home court advantage in the first round. That I could look at that as a success.
If they're like in that race for the play-in, I would say something went wrong in the regular season. You know, I'm with you. Top 5, I would say, is being kind of generous. You have Luka, you have LeBron, you have a center who makes some sense. You have, like I actually have liked their offseason quite a bit. I like the LaRavia signing, and I like the fact that you could get Ayton and Smart without having to trade anything for those guys. Thero's an interesting prospect. I think he's probably a year away from being a year away, but still, and you have the assets, you have the expiring contracts, you have draft picks that you could move over the course of the season to take that next step as a roster as well. And that's something that I think they should be looking to do. Like you said earlier, this might be their best opportunity. You're not going to have Austin at this contract rate for, after this season. You're not going to have DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart at their contract rates respectively for this season. Rui's going to be looking for a raise. Luka's extension kicks in next season. He's going to be more expensive. So this might be the time to really kind of go for it.
I was going to say, and if they specifically with DeAndre and Marcus, and if they do have them on the roster beyond this season on similar salaries, that likely means they picked up the player options, which is not the best sign.
Yeah.
In terms of where they're at in their career. So that if they do that, I think that's also important to note.
Yep. All right. I want to have a little bit of fun with, now your second season on the beat. But what's it been like? Like, what was did you have any okay, this is a little different type of moments? Like, has it been that different from covering teams earlier in your career? You came from, I believe, Orlando, right? Before this?
Yeah.
So what was covering the Lakers like, or what's it been like here for the first couple of, how annoying is Dan, and his dad jokes all the time? When you're out there and you see everybody freaking out because they see Jovan the superstar, like what's that experience like? Like what's been your time on the beat been like?
Yeah, Jovan. You see, I gotta be careful being around Jovan because he has fans who just take pictures of him from the crowd. I'm just like, because we would sit next to one another, and I would just have to I have to be careful because your fans are just crowding our space. It just
you just got it. Like you can't yawn in the middle of a game because that yawn might make it to a social media picture. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't goof around and be playing a game on my phone during a game because someone's going to pay attention.
Stephen A. Smith found that out. Yeah.
You said that, not me. You said the name, not me. Thanks for dunking the alley-oop.
Yeah.
No, it's been hectic, to be honest with you. Like these past 2 seasons, it's funny because when I think about it, like when I started, they were like the vibes were like immaculate, right? Like they're coming off the
Yeah.
Western Conference Finals appearance. Everybody basically resigned. Like the additions that they made were like it was the Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish, Torian Prince, and Christian Wood. Like those were their free agents. Oh, and Gabe Vincent.
Yeah.
Like it was like low key, like lower key off season. The vibes were good. Like all of this stuff quickly changed.
I always joke about that offseason because it was like everybody at Media Day was talking about continuity, running it back, building on what they did last year. And the only person who didn't get any of the emails was Darvin because he was like, Torian is starting. All of those that core like 5 or 6 guys from the previous season was like, yeah, we're gonna run it back. We're gonna build on this. Everybody was really excited to build on it. And Darvin was like, no, we're going with a heavy dose of Cam Reddish in November and Torian Prince.
Well, I will say, at least in Darvin's defense, again, he was not the only coach who fell into the Cam Reddish starter.
It's an annual thing.
It's something. There's something in the like. It's going to happen to another coach. It could happen to another coach this fall or this winter. But yes, it's been no. Like covering the Lakers has been different than like anything I've done before. Like I covered the Magic for a season and a half. I was the backup Miami Heat writer for a couple seasons. I've covered college sports. I've covered other like pro sports. Just different. The amount of attention, the amount of scrutiny. Not like everything feels so big in the moment, and like that's why I think it's important to contextualize things like after the fact. Like,
yeah,
I think it's important to note like how strong of an offseason the Lakers have had because out goes. Yes, the most important person leaving is Dorian Finney-Smith. Most important player, rather, is Dorian Finney-Smith. But in comes DeAndre Ayton, Jake LaRavia, and Marcus Smart. If we said that was a trade, I think most people would be like, "Oh, that's a great trade for no, like the Lakers should do that." And obviously, they lost other like Markieff Morris and Alex Lynn. But in terms of just on-court playing, I think it's important to know. I do think they're going to miss a player, a locker room presence like Markieff Morris.
Yeah.
But you make the signings of Marcus Smart and a veteran player, DeAndre Ayton, LaRavia, like you make those, when you have the opportunity to do so. So, but just bigger picture, like it's been hectic, man. Cam Aldridge, like it's been, like it's gotten to the point where when I do my show for Bleacher Report, when I was on Jovan's show, there are people and bullying works, by the way. There'll be people who are in the comments saying you need to get some sleep, basically. And shout out to one of my friends. He I think my girlfriend posted that on her Instagram, like the comment saying you need some sleep.
Yeah.
And then like he sent me like some eye patches, and he saw that on his story on Instagram, and he sent me like amazing. The nighttime eye patches because it's like, yeah, I don't get much sleep during the season. It is a challenge too. I don't help myself, but like the seasons are jam packed. They're crazy. Like, and I'm sure this one will be just because it's going to be the first full Luka season.
Oh yeah,
first full Luka LeBron season. Austin, like, there's going to be a lot to write about, a lot to chronicle, a lot to report. Like, I already know that, but having these 2 seasons of just like there's a non-stop feeling to it. Like, I do feel good about this upcoming season just because like I know to expect some wild stuff. Like the Luka trade was just like that was so crazy. I just remember the shock, and it took like 2 months to wear off.
Yeah, it's funny. I have my like office here in my house, and Jen can always kind of tell when something happens because I'll like look at my phone and just kind of go like, ugh. And she'll be like, "What happened?" And it'll be like, "Well, the Lakers sold, or nope, they traded for Luka, or nope, they did this, they did that." And she's just like, "Why can't they just be normal? Like, why can't they just, And it's like, well, the fact that they aren't is why I can have an office in my house. But
right.
End of the day, you win some, you lose some. But Khobi, you do phenomenal work, though. I truly say this as a compliment. Showing up to this beat and finding your niche and your voice in it as quickly as you have is really impressive. So it's been cool watching you grow within the beat and figure that out. And I promise I will be bugging you a lot more over the course of the season to come on here. Miriam made sure to say, like, get Khobi on the damn show. So
Got some Miriam.
yeah, so I'm gonna fix that this upcoming season. Anything that you want to plug before we get you out of here?
No, not at this moment. I mean, if especially as the season, we're about a month away from media day and media day flowing to training camp. So it's fast approaching. Fast approaching. But and as we get closer to that time, I'll be having more stories come out. Right now on a bit of a pause with the show at Bleacher Report, but once we get closer to the season, we'll be doing more shows with them. So just follow me on Twitter. If you can see my name, Khobi, last name Price. I know it's spelled differently, but just remember that. Go on Twitter, or X rather. That's what we're calling it these days. You can follow me. It's the best way and easiest way to keep up with my work, whether it's Southern California News Group, Bleacher Report, or even show appearances like this one right here.
There you go. All right. Well, that was Khobi Price, again, of the OC Register and the Southern California News Group. Does great work. Make sure you guys are following it along. And also for Bleacher, you mentioned it in passing there, your shows with Bleacher Report. I think is it the Lakers Insider show?
Yeah, Lakers Insider show, yeah.
So make sure you guys are tuned into that as well. And yeah, I think as far as our shows here for the rest of the week, I'm working with the Cambros on Locked On Lakers for a home and home kind of a deal. So keep an eye out for that. And hit that subscribe button, like button, all those nice buttons. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's, and I will talk to you when I talk to you.